This is the Level Flight Podcast.
Welcome back to the Level Flight Podcast. As always, I am Elliot, and I'm joined by Brian.
Hello.
And Connor.
Welcome back.
So this week's episode, we are going to be talking about the last three games that the Jets have played since our last episode. They played the Dallas Stars here in Winnipeg, then went on a 2-game Pacific road trip, heading to Calgary to play the Flames, and in Seattle to play the Kraken. They went 2-1 in those 3 games, and mixed bag of results here, I would say.
Very.
Obviously it started out with a fantastic 5-1 victory over the Stars. Great performance from the Jets.
That was massive. Like, to be honest with you, it's been a few years since I've seen a performance that was like 60 minutes. The Jets were the better team the whole time. Like, even like that Blues game where they looked phenomenal. The Blues still had their moments, and it was really the third period where the Jets came and took over. But this game was incredible. They gave up the opening goal. It was like 21 seconds later. They tied it, and then they did not look back. It was 5 unanswered. So
yeah. Did you consider that Blues game broke the Blues, though?
I think it may have. They've lost, what, like 9 of their last 10?
Yeah, they are not good. But that was such a dominant performance. I saw so many people on Twitter after the game saying that was one of the best games they've seen the Jets play since they made the playoffs in 2018-19, non-COVID year aside. But yeah, it was dominant. That top line with Appleton on it finally had kind of a breakout game. They always had the production, but they never really controlled play like we saw them in that game. Scheifele had 2 goals. Appleton had a goal and 2 assists. Beautiful assist on that backdoor pass to Scheifele.
Oh,
yeah, that was great game from that top line, and only 22 shots against. For Hellebuck.
That's big because he needs all the rest he can get with what he's dealt with early this season. He's had a lot of shots against. I think he's firmly in second place right now in the league, behind only John Gibson.
And his whole career.
Yeah, effectively, he's always been right near the top of the league every year with shots against. So, giving him some nights where he only faces 20, it helps. Like, obviously, the shot quality matters, and that's something you need to look at as well. But in terms of quantity, if you can obviously limit the amount getting to him, you're automatically going to have a better result.
And I did some research. The expected goals in this game were 4.1 to 1.8 for the Jets. That's just dominant. Like, people want to say Ottinger wasn't playing, but Ottinger wouldn't have fixed that. Absolutely dominant performance. Best one of the year. Top 2 teams in the Central. I was nervous going in. They wiped the floor.
No, they played fantastic. I think this is a theme that we're going to continue to see. The forecheck was really good, especially early. Like, we generated a lot of chances early because we were forechecking. Well, the second Dubois goal was all just off of us forechecking, getting Wedgwood to come out of his net, try to pick up the puck.
That was bad.
And
that was bad.
As Steve Dangle would say, as a goaltender,
Tend the goal.
Yes. But even then, you force him to make a mistake when he's probably just trying to play it around the boards. So, the forecheck is looking good. Lots of 2-on-1s early, too. I rewatched the highlights before we did this episode, and I know they're just highlights that doesn't really show the whole game, but lots of our highlights in the first period were 2-on-1s. Like, we had lots of chances. We were generating shots on net. Like, it was just a really, really complete game that I don't think we've seen this team have in a long time.
Yeah.
Well, what's interesting, too, is we saw a bunch of different movement in the bottom 6 there, where we got to see a line that I wasn't actually sure about beforehand with Janssen, Fjallby, Lowry, and Manalainen. Dominant.
Mm-hmm.
They were phenomenal. You got the Gustafsson down on the 4th line there. He's really, looking to come into his own. But no, overall, we're looking at one of the best overall performances we've seen up and down the lineup in quite a while. Can't say the same for what happened on the Saturday night in Calgary. that wasn't as fun.
No. Jets lose 3-2 against the Flames. Completely, I would actually say, completely different team in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that there was any. I was hoping that something would translate, but nope, it was completely different. We were on the back foot the whole game.
Yeah, it felt very slow, which felt, as you said, the entire opposite of what the Dallas game was. We felt very quick to the puck, quick on the attack, quick to our shots. It felt like we were moving in slow motion for a lot of the game. You see a lot of, I mean, it was a very physical game, very entertaining in that way, but that was about it. There was, aside from the feistiness, there really wasn't a whole lot of real, excitement. I'm pretty sure Dubois has Jacob Markstrom on his hit list now, so that should be fun to watch going forward. But no, it felt like a real letdown after what we saw on the Tuesday night against Dallas.
Speaking of Dubois, he had a goal in both games that we've talked about here, the Stars game and the Flames game. That gives him 12 points in 14 games. He's on pace for 41 goals. His career high is 28, but do I have to remind fans that it's a contract year for him?
Yeah, this is only helping his case.
Yeah.
And could make things down the line a little bit more interesting, especially with the rumors swirling about him. If he's, having a monster year, it's going to really impact what happens going into this offseason. But yeah, it's something to keep an eye on. I don't know if he hits that 40-goal mark, but if he does, great for him. But obviously overall, in terms of what the team needs to achieve, it would be great for the Jets if Dubois hits 40.
Yeah.
Especially with Connor's slow start here. If he picks it up, Scheifele keeps it going. It's just
Ehlers comes back.
That's a lot of goal scoring.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was going to talk about Dubois. I had written something down here. I think he's been really good, especially in those first two games. As much as they lost against the Flames, I thought he still looked pretty good. So, I mean, you can look at that whole game. You can pick things apart. I mean, Jacob Markstrom did a cartwheel. I think that also kind of pinpoints how the game went.
Yeah.
And a shorthanded goal ended up being the winner. But, I mean...
Trevor Lewis redemption right there.
Yeah,
Revenge
I mean,
game.
my word, I can't. I will say on a positive note, other than Dubois, as much as Rick has made some questionable things, I will say after that give up on the the shorthanded goal, Maurice probably in that situation, or any other coach that the Jets have probably, well, I mean, it's only been Maurice and Noel, but either one probably would have been livid, screaming at his guys, angry, mad, whatever. They pan the camera to Bonus, and you can see he's upset, but he's keeping his composure. And I think that's really helped the team, especially in a game like when they played Seattle, where some bad things happen and somebody scores that probably shouldn't score, or we give up a goal that we probably shouldn't. He's keeping his composure and he believes in his guys. I don't think Maurice really believed in the team as much as for as long as he was here. There was always lots of negativity, and I don't think Bonus has that in the dressing room. I think he's completely changed around the culture that this team has had, and I think that's why we actually saw the Jets, I think, give a little bit more at the end of the game to try to get back into it, because I think in that situation, if Maurice had been there, I think the team would have completely given up. It would have been a 5-2 loss. We give up 2 empty net goals, and it just, it's not even, it doesn't end up even looking close.
Yeah, I love the fight from the team. On the second night of a back-to-back, down 2-1, and they come back and win it. That's huge. Brandon Tanev, revenge game.
Yep.
It was the weekend of revenge games. He's up to 10 points in 16 games.
He's looked
Brandon
good.
Tanev. Yeah.
I've watched a lot of Seattle games with writing for them for the hockey writers. He was always noticeable with the Jets because he sends himself into the corners like a projectile. But no, he's putting himself in the right places a lot of times and actually finishing the chances. But he was out there, and his celebration after he scored, you could tell it meant a lot to him because he missed last year's game against us, I think, because he had torn his ACL.
Mm-hmm.
So this was his first game against us since he had wound up with the Kraken. But He was hyped up after that one.
Yeah, and Appleton also got hurt in this game, and he's not skating this morning.
A lot of guys aren't.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what's behind it, if it's just a maintenance, day for a lot of guys. But guys like DeMello isn't skating. You've got essentially throughout the lineup, there's a few guys that are just swapping and swapping out. Hellebuck worked with Flaherty before practice, but didn't actually come out for practice. It was just Riddick. So it might just be a lot of guys banged up a little bit after the road trip and the back-to-back. And
Bonus, I think it was like a week ago, he basically just said, you don't have to come to practice. You just have to be ready for the game. I don't care how you get ready for the game, but if DeMello doesn't feel like practicing today, but he'll be fine on Thursday and he'll play good, that doesn't matter to Bonus. He doesn't
I like
really
that
care.
mindset.
Yeah.
It holds the players accountable too. Like if you are unable to properly identify if you can get ready for a game, that's going to look poorly on you regardless. Like if you go in and you look slow, it's going to be very clear to everyone that, maybe this person's not putting the effort in. That's a terrible look for someone. It's almost a motivation to, even if you don't go to practice, make sure you just know what's going on.
In Ehlers and Appleton's case, though, they're probably hurt. Like this, I don't think this is a maintenance day for them, especially since Bonus said he wanted to see Ehlers, or he thought he might skate on Tuesday. Here we are on Tuesday, and he's not skating. It's kind of concerning. I remember a month ago when he was day-to-day, and now we're here a month later, and he's still not skating. It's just, it's annoying, but oh well.
Yeah, there's not much you can do with injuries, right? I mean, guys, you see that in every sport. Guys are day-to-day or whatever, and then there's setbacks. Like, I'll even just reference Zion Williamson for last season. Basically, from January, February on, it was, he'll be back soon. He'll be back soon. And then it just never happened. And I think that's the case with the Jets right now, is they're doing kind of what the Pelicans did, where Ehlers could probably go right now. I'm sure he probably would want to go right now, but we're playing well. I mean, the Pelicans weren't playing well, but there was no point in playing him in that situation. But the Jets are playing well right now without him, and so they probably feel like we don't need to rush him back. We don't want him to get hurt, and then he's actually out a significant longer period of time.
If he's out for the year, I worry about how hot the top six will stay. Mm-hmm. You need someone of his skill in the lineup more often than not. I will say though, looked like a youthful Blake Wheeler in Seattle.
Yeah.
He
was pissed.
When he plays angry, he might be the most terrifying player in the NHL. He just absolutely unleashed hell on Will Borgen. He then sat for 4 minutes, just boiling in his anger, came out and almost single-handedly went through like 4 Seattle players to score. He gets the tying goal with like 4 seconds left in the third there to send it to overtime, and it's stuff like that really brings the team together, especially from him, who obviously he's been in the news a lot with losing his captaincy. He seems to have really embraced the fact that yes, he doesn't have the letter on his chest, but he's still one of the older guys in that room. With how he's that you've seen the videos after the game in the locker room, you've got them awarding their jackets. He just seems so happy for guys when they succeed, and I think I never think it was really about his success to him, but you can tell there's a little bit of a burden that's off of him now, because he seems to be a bit more upbeat and not as angry all the time in the locker room, just on the ice.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think he wanted to be the face, like as much as he was the captain. I don't think he wanted to be the face and the person that the media came to all the time. I think that he likes it. It's now kind of spread out, and lots of guys. It's a team. It's the team getting now the blame, not just, hey, Blake, you're the captain, you got to take this head on. So no, I was really waiting for the unstrapped bucket to come out after he scored the game tire there and late in the third. I really thought he was going to come out of the scrum there and pull the strap off. But now we talked about another player in Dubois being on pace for 40, 45 goals, very high pace. We're going to now talk about someone who we were hoping to see succeed this year, and he is scoring a lot this year. Mark Scheifele. His goal-scoring pace is unreal right now.
Yeah, he's tied for sixth right now in the league with 10 goals. The thing that I've noticed with him is he just seems to be putting himself in better locations to shoot. I've found in the past either he's forcing it, he's missing the net a lot. This year it seems like he's actually making contact with the goalie a lot more, which obviously helps if you're planning on scoring. I don't know what exactly changed, whether it was just him finally sort of like relaxing a little bit. It just felt like he was always trying to rush the shot. This year he just seems so dialed in that he's shooting 26.3% right now, which
It's gonna come down.
I mean, it's gonna regress. It it will, but I still think though that he will keep up a pretty decent pace. Like he's gonna keep shooting. He's been shooting more. Especially with Connor struggling so early, I feel like he's taken on a little bit of the responsibility to go, okay, I'm going to feed him when I can, but if I shoot, maybe they're going to be expecting me to feed him, right? So it's maybe a good thing that both of them have that talent. Once both of them start producing, it's going to be a nightmare for other teams to deal with. But I've been pretty happy with how he's been playing all year. Just really nice to see him finally, making the right shots and actually getting rewarded for it.
Yeah, he's on pace for 58 goals. I don't think any of us think that he's going to get to that, but
I think he definitely eclipses 40 this year just with how he seems.
Yeah, let's all give a number. What do we think he ends up with?
I'm going to say 43.
43?
I'm going to go, I was going to say 42, so I'll keep 42.
I did not think I'd be the highest when I wrote this down, but I'm going to say 46. His career high is what, 38? 38. Yeah, he's never eclipsed 40.
I think that the real thing, though, for him is whenever it seems he's having a really great season, he's out for at least a little.
Yeah.
It stifles him.
Yeah.
So as of right now, the Scheifele we have looks like playoff Scheifele, with where it's like he expects to score every time he has the puck. It's just he's got such a confidence to him right now that I think it has been shaken in the past. And I think that's why a lot of the times he'll, it seems like he's gripping the stick a little bit too tight and send it wide or send it off. He hits a lot of posts too. I don't know the numbers on that. It just seems like he has hit a lot of posts in the past. So it's really, really nice to see it.
And you referenced this on the last pod, but he just looks like he gives a damn.
It's so nice.
Yeah, like the back checking, the forechecking even that you referenced in the Dallas game. It's just it looks more like a team effort, and he's being rewarded with the goal scoring. I really think that line needs Ehlers back. That Stars game was the first game that they really controlled play, in my opinion. Once they get Ehlers back, Connor, Scheifele, Ehlers, Scheifele's shooting percentage will come down, but Connor's will come up. And then that'll even out too.
Well, that's the thing, because Ehlers is ultimately a shooter as well.
Yeah.
So the only thing is with that's a lot of shooters on one line.
Yeah. And we talked about how
Someone's
Perfetti needs a shooter as well. So
We'll see.
maybe there's a shakeup in the top 6, but Scheifele's playing so good. This team's gonna go like Scheifele, Hellebuck, Dubois, Morrissey, Connor once he gets going. These are the big guns. You need these players playing well, and Scheifele is carrying the load right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think as much as we were worried about Kyle Connor scoring, he's got 10 assists.
Yeah.
So I think him just at least putting up points and setting up Scheifele is enough for now. Are we going to need his goal scoring later? Yeah, probably. But no, Scheifele's had a couple bounces, couple pucks come his way. Yes, a lot of them have been nice goals, but when you're going to need to score, or not need to score, but when you're going to score 40, 45 goals, you need a couple bounces to go your way. But yeah, I mean, so Scheifele has been good, and we've had some goal scoring from a couple players, but that's even strength. I think we've got some issues going on with the power play, and that was really evident in the last 2 games, or at least the 2 games of the road trip, again, especially against Calgary, and it kind of trickled into against Seattle.
Yeah, that Calgary game was awful. They had a 5-on-3 for a minute and 20 seconds without a shot on goal. That's just like, that's Pee-wee stuff. Like, what are we doing? And they also gave up a shorty in that game. Just absolutely awful power play. The power play just looks bad. It's like if they're generating chances, Kyle Connor rings one off the bar, Scheifele puts it high and wide. Okay, they're getting good chances from good spots. It looks like they're just skating around passively, waiting for Kyle Connor's seam to open up when it never does. And then even when he does get it, he just shoots it at the goalie's chest or off his pad and then clear. Boom. And then they can't enter the zone. That's a whole other story.
Well, the thing is, too, like, it's always been the case that even if you don't score, having a power play that generates chances is just as important, because even if you don't score, if you can gain some momentum there, especially near the end of it, you're looking at a good sort of carryover into even strength. Having a power play like we did in those last 2 games, if anything, it gives the momentum to the penalty killing team, because they feel as if they've limited us to nothing. That, as you said, that 5-on-3, it's slow. It's just my biggest issue with their power play is how slow they move. I think
if they even do move.
If they do. I think one of the biggest issues right now is they don't have someone who's willing to fly in over the blue line like Ehlers is. Ehlers carries the puck in so much quicker. Immediately the defenders are having to turn a lot quicker. Therefore, you've got more positioning. I think without Ehlers, you don't have anyone who's willing to just actually control the zone entry. There's a lot more dump and chase that I was not missing that. But no, I think the loss of Ehlers on one of the power play units, which Bonus seems to be relying, solely pretty heavily on that first unit, but I can't blame him, because that second unit has it has a lot of passing, as we've said in the past. If he's willing to actually play even amount of ice time here, I'd say you should probably look to move one of those elite shooters onto that second unit, just to see if you can get more of a carry through the entire, offensive group there.
Yeah. Or Gagne was on the top unit in Seattle. I'd like to see Perfetti there, or Wheeler was there a bit as well. I don't really know. Like, he's obviously a great passer. He has been his whole career. But the one power play goal that Scheifele scored in Seattle was a shot from Gagne from above the circles that caromed off the back wall and landed right on Scheifele's tape for a tap in. Like, that's not a power play. That's not how you want to rely on generating goals.
Well, if you ask Gagne, I'm sure it was entirely intentional.
Exactly. No, but it's just they're Scheifele and Connor stand on the dots. Yep. Morrissey stands up top, and no one moves.
Yep.
And it's just ugly to watch.
Rotation. Cycle around.
Yeah. There's no rotation. There's no nothing. They pass it down to Scheifele. It's so predictable. They pass it down to Scheifele. Scheifele looks for the seam. It's not open. He goes back up to Morrissey. Morrissey gives it to Connor. Connor stands there, and then doesn't do anything, and then passes it like it's the most and then or he shoots it wide, and then again we can't enter the zone.
Yeah.
Ehlers is the zone entry king.
Yeah.
Without him, that power play entry is just awful.
That's the thing.
It's hard to watch.
I've found that most of our zone entries now come from the defenseman, who crosses the line, then posts up and waits for other guys to get there, which then immediately lets the opposing defenders set up a little bit more quickly. It's not a good way to run a power play if you're looking to generate chances.
Yeah. And this team has too much talent to have a power play that looks this bad.
Yeah. Well, what's funny, though, is the power play in past years has always been, quote unquote, the strength of our special teams.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
No, it is not. We are, as Brian pointed out to us just before we started the show, we are top 5 in the league in penalty kill. Is that surprising to you guys?
Yeah, just because they were middle of the pack last year ish, and it's mainly the same group. I mean, you've got Lowry and Appleton that come over the boards every time. The first time, you've got Janssen Fjallby killing penalties. You've got Gustafsson killing penalties. I'd like to say that it's all David Gustafsson for the reason that they're top 5, because he was dominant on the PK for the Moose last year, but I don't know if their systems have really changed. I know their entire coaching staff is different, so they probably are running a little bit of a different system on the PK, but it's as much as the power play sucks to watch, it's awesome to watch the PK because they just shut everything down.
Yeah, it's really nice to actually see the Winnipeg Jets in the top 5 in penalty kill after the last few seasons.
Yeah.
I mean, that was largely Huddy, right? You're looking at the defensive systems there. Clearly, something has adjusted slightly. Obviously, when you get the goaltending we've got from Hellebuck this year, that he's your best penalty killer. But I was looking at a tweet earlier from my buddy Tony. He's Chevy's Abrasive on Twitter. He was posting some heat maps that showed that most of the shots were coming from the middle of the ice, but there was a lot of cold shooting zones from out on the sides, which obviously you don't want someone shooting directly at your goalie because you're getting a lot of good open ice there. But what it's also showing is passing may actually be stifled a little bit through the middle. You're not making Hellebuck move as much, which is good because when you get a goalie moving side to side, you're obviously going to open up the net a little bit. Letting him square up to a shooter when he's already doing this well is going to obviously increase your chance of limiting your damage, if any at all.
And that's Hellebuck's game, is he barely moves in the net. And if he's squared up to a shot and he can see it, you're not scoring. You're not beating him.
Yeah.
That's just how it works. So if they're really planning on doing that, and that's the system, is to funnel shots from one area, and Hellebuck knows it's coming from there, that's a great strategy, and it's clearly working. Yeah,
that's unreal. I mean, like that's exactly how a penalty should be run. Or a penalty kill should be run. I mean, you should be trying to pick a way that you're going to try to pick the other team apart so that you can maximize your opportunity of killing the penalty. It shouldn't be, we're just all going to stand in the slot and just kind of hope that we block a shot or hope that our goaltender gets over and makes a save, right? You should have a plan in place, and yeah, it is working.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Hey there, it's me, Brian. Yes, the same one you were just listening to. Anyway, I've got to talk to you all about something. If you're listening, chances are you found us through social media. However, if you found your way to us through the grapevine, by the water cooler, or through the magic of friendship alone, let me tell you how to connect with us even further. You can follow us on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, and now even TikTok. We're great at the whole brand identity thing, so we have all the same usernames on all platforms. Just search up Level Flight Podcast or the username Level Flight WPG. So, pause the episode, go follow us, then come back, okay? Great, you're back now? Perfect. Let's get on with the rest of the show.
So, this team is off to a 9-4-1 start. That is a little mind-boggling to me, but then you take a look at how our season started last year, and we were 9-3-3 at this similar point in the year. Now, the train went completely off the tracks with Paul Maurice just deciding that he was done coaching the team about a month later and everything. But does this team feel different to you guys, even though it's really the same exact roster?
It does. I'm having a hard time explaining this year. It's one of those situations where you just see something repetitively, and you're just like, okay, this team they've got it. I don't know how. I don't know the process behind it, because there's certain things where I doubt that occasionally. That being said, you look at this team and just with how they're playing, especially as of late, and they've sort of redeemed themselves, because they were getting badly outplayed and winning early in the year. You wonder if Bonus has just found a way to get through them more, because he made it very clear that you're winning games, but this will not continue if you play like this. And then they've altered the way they've been playing. Is that him getting through, or is it them also coming to a realization? I think it's a combination of the both. But does that then mean that, okay, maybe the coaching was a big part of why they were so wildly inconsistent last year?
Yeah. The way I see it, it's more... It's the exact same team, right? We've said this all offseason. Chevy made no moves.
Run it back.
Yeah, they ran it back. I mean, when I look at the stats and I look at the chances they're giving up, the chances they're generating, the shot attempts they're giving up, this is the exact same team so far. They're just getting top 1 goaltending instead of top 10. Like Hellebuck last year was a top 10 goalie. This year he's the best goalie in the league. So, yeah, maybe through these first however many games, they look the same. But on the ice, it feels the exact same. Hellebuck's just playing out of his mind, except for the Dallas game, the St. Louis game. Like, there's games where it's like, okay, that's a different team.
I mean, even to an extent, that Seattle game felt different because, as Elliot said when we were talking about that, it felt like last year's team would have rolled over and just said, all right, we'll get him next time.
Yeah. Culture-wise, there's a huge change. Like, on the ice, you can give up chances, whatever, but the clutch factor, this team is clutch, which that Wheeler goal with 3 seconds left. I mean, you just don't see, like you said, they just roll. Last year they would have rolled over. The willingness to step up for one another.
Oh,
when
massive.
Schmidt got hit in the back and like the whole team was just that you referenced that Wheeler.
Terrifying.
Yeah, like everyone was just pissed. And last year it would have been like they walked like the Austin Matthews thing where you go up, you cross check a few times, you smile at the guy, and you go on about your day. But this year they have each other's backs. But I still have my concerns.
I mean, there's absolutely concerns. It just, there's something, as I said, I have a hard time explaining it because everything that you said made sense. Yeah. But I can't explain it. But there's just something about the group. And I think, as you said, it might be culture-wise because it means a lot given to what we had heard, behind the scenes the last few years to hear that, everything is running smoothly with the guys. They all, care about playing for each other. And maybe that's it. But it doesn't feel like they're going to do what the Jets did last year where they came off to such a hot start, then lost, like 9 games out of the next 11. Kind of bounced back, but they did not regain 5 games over 500 until March 30th. And then they went, pretty hot for a little bit there and then effectively killed any chance they had at making the playoffs because they lost 4, 1-2, and then lost another 4 opening April. And good night.
Yeah. I mean, that's just, you can't have stretches like that if you want to make the playoffs. Another thing that you referenced is Bonus has always talked about how, we're winning games, but we're not playing the way we want to. That is huge because they're first in the Central right now. If they get to where they actually want to, this team could be dangerous. But right now, I just don't really see a difference in the chances and stuff like that outside of, again, culture. But
yeah, I mean, it's a resiliency and camaraderie thing for me. I mean, like, they're resilient in getting wins, and their camaraderie is, we're a team, we're going to stick up for each other. Again, it's a, hey, don't touch Schmitty thing, and he's the nicest guy in the league. Are you really going to hit him like that and do him that dirty? I mean, it's a play in the moment. It could have been it could have been on purpose, but most of the time some of those hits aren't on purpose. You're just playing the game, and especially when there's somebody that's nice to you, you don't want to actually hit them sometimes out of anger or whatever. But I think that this team just has a different feel about them. They have a different vibe is the better word. Like you said, Connor, I don't think that they're much better really right now as a floor. I really think that they could, with Bonus, actually hit their ceiling that we thought that they could have the last couple of years with this core. But are they there yet? No, of course not. And like you said, and I'll put this in air quotes, they are first in the Central. I don't think they're the best team in the Central right now. At their ceiling, I think they are. I think by the end of the year, I think that we're seeing them sit second or comfortably third in the division. I don't think they're going to be in a wild card spot, but I think if they really hit their ceiling, they really could get to that point of being one of the better teams in our division.
Well, I mean, have you considered, though, that they are the league leader in vibes per 60? And that they have, in fact, found the dog in them.
They have that dog in them. They just have it.
They do, and it's not. And as much as we're making a joke out of it, they do. Like gutsy wins.
They seem more motivated to come to the rink and actually, play.
Yeah, they seem like they're having fun.
That's big.
Which at the end of the day, this is a game of hockey. As much as we like to rip on them and they're making millions of dollars and blah blah. They're playing hockey and they're wanting to have fun. It's like any job. There are days where I don't want to go to work, and you know what? I'm getting paid minimum wage, but I have to go to work, and I don't have any fun. And I think that's really kind of what it was last year for them. I get I'm making millions of dollars and this is great, but like I'm going to work and I'm not having any fun and we're losing. This year is their win, and I even look back last year and they were winning, but they didn't seem happy about it. It was like, oh, we're winning, great. This year, it's like, hey, we're winning. This is awesome. And we're going to improve and we're going to get better. And this is great. And I love coming to the rink. I love practicing. I love being with my guys. So
that really showed in Scheifele's postseason presser when he was, I need to reevaluate everything because he didn't want to go through another year of this. He didn't want to have to suffer through like mediocrity. And
can't say I blame him.
Yeah. And now he's the best goal scorer on the team. Just like that.
Yeah.
And speaking of not being mediocre, this city of Winnipeg has really seen some success in hockey at all levels, and to be honest, other sports too. My wonderful girlfriend last night sent me a tweet from Dave Minuk of the Illegal Curve, just talking about the different hockey teams that we have in the city. And he put all the records out and said, "This is what we're waking up to this morning." The Jets were 9-4-1, obviously, as we mentioned. The Moose are 7-3-1, and the Winnipeg Ice, the team's WHL team, is 18-1. Plus, the Bombers are also going to the Grey Cup this Sunday. As crazy it is for me, for a city that I always used to joke about when I was younger, being a mediocre town or with teams and just never seeing success, this is pretty amazing to me.
Yeah, it's nice to see, actually having, a decent crop of entertaining sports teams, which I would be, wrong to not point out. My boys out at the Winnipeg Goldeyes, they finished third in the West and went to the playoffs last year. So they're looking to build on that this year. It'll be a year of big changes, new manager, but it's nice to see across all sports. We're really starting to see some good, quality play that everyone should try and get out to support. If obviously the Jets games, the Bomber games, whatever, sometimes it's not as accessible based on money or based on location. But there's always options. There's the Ice games are pretty cheap. The Moose games aren't overly expensive. The Goldeyes games aren't. So definitely get out and enjoy this. Like it's nice to see it happening. No one really knows how long it's going to go on. So just enjoy the fact that things are happening.
And to further that point about the Winnipeg Ice, if you're not going to the Jets game on Thursday, Connor Bedard is in town on Thursday and Saturday night.
That's entertainment in itself.
Yeah. If you want a chance to be able to say 30 years from now, I saw Connor Bedard before he was even drafted, here's your chance.
That's big.
Yeah.
Huge.
And the Bombers, I want to go back to them. Brian and I were at that game.
Oh,
that was the loudest crowd I've ever been a part of. So much fun, such a great atmosphere. I love the snow coming down. It's just like peak football weather. My toes were numb. I didn't care at all. It was
You're out
so
there for
much
the fun
fun.
of it.
Exactly.
yeah, and you see them doing so well, and it doesn't seem that long ago that it was just painful to see them go into the season. You're like, okay, are they going to get 5 or 6 wins this year? They've entirely flipped the script. So I know we're a hockey podcast, but over the next couple weeks, expect some football talk because they're about to play for their 3rd straight Grey Cup. It's insane to me just saying it, but obviously, we're all Bomber fans here, and we want to see the three-peats. So, depending on how things go on Sunday, Sunday night 5 p.m. kickoff, Grey Cup. So definitely check that out. Depending on how things go Sunday, you might have quite the episode coming early in the week.
Yeah.
Maybe a longer part about the Bombers and just us yelling into the mic, screaming.
Yeah.
If I'm even awake.
Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. Lots of storylines as well. Kolaros, lingering injury.
That ankle.
And you know what? And I think probably the biggest one, the media will hammer home this one for the next week and probably forever. Andrew Harris versus the Bombers.
I mean, that's going to be like a 4-hour story on the TSN pregame show.
Yeah.
Like, it'll start at like 9 a.m. and we're going to have Harris content until noon.
Well, how does it affect Austin Matthews? That's what they're going to link it to.
How does Brady Oliveira's play affect Austin Matthews and Andrew Harris?
How does that mentorship affect what the Leafs are doing? That's what they're.
It
gonna
won't
figure.
affect the Leafs because they still don't have goaltenders or a life.
Yeah, the Bombers being so successful and the atmosphere at these 2 playoff games the last 2 years just reminds me of 2017-18 and the Jets and those street parties and the atmosphere and the vibes surrounding the city when the Jets were successful. It just sucks because it's like the Bombers are so great, but it's like that Jets run was the peak sports moment of my life. Just it was so much fun.
I still hold true as well that the Jets would have won the cup if not for Marc-Andre Fleury.
Yeah, that's a whole nother.
Yeah, we could
go on that.
maybe okay. Let us know how you feel about this. Maybe we'll do like some retrospective, not even full episodes, just maybe little clips or whatever. Give us things you want to hear us talk about. Like maybe it's the 2017-18 run. We go back and recap things, stir up some great memories, maybe some not so great ones. I miss you, Toby Enstrom. But
Dustin
like
Byfuglien, come back.
stuff like this where we want to sort of tap into the the nostalgia factor of things. Like we can even go back further into the previous version of the Jets. But if that's something you want to hear, let us know. You want to hear us talk more about local sports as well, let us know. We just want to make sure that we're keeping everyone in the know and making sure that we're listening to the people who are listening to us. So yeah, give us a shout on that to see if if we can do some of those episodes, because we'd love to add a little bit to our repertoire here. We're thinking of doing little side episodes anyways, so anything that gives us a little more ammunition for that would be great.
Or just any topics you want to hear within our regular episodes too. Like we appreciate all suggestions that make our lives easier. We don't have to come up with as many topics. That's good for us. So
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, so that I think will be it for us for this week. Jets will play this week, I believe.
Yeah, they got a 3-game homestand coming up. They've got the Ducks on Thursday, which you're gonna have a lot of tears probably in the building, because it's you got the 90s. They're coming back.
Oh yeah.
You got Solani and Newman getting raised to the Jets' little Hall of Fame there. So it's going to be quite a night there. Obviously, it's going to be special with the Ducks in town, with such a connection there with Solani. Then you've got on Saturday, the Penguins are in town, and then the ever dangerous Hurricanes are here on Monday. So that's a 6:30 start, just so you guys know, on Monday. So keep that in mind if you're going to the game.
Those are 3 awesome home games.
Absolutely.
You've got the Solani, Newmanen, reverse retros. They're wearing them again Thursday. You've got Sidney Crosby on Saturday night. I mean, come on. And then you've got the Hurricanes. They're one of the best teams in the NHL. This homestand is a big test, and
the return of Paul Stastny as well.
Exactly. So
lots of talent.
Next week's pod, we're going to have a lot to talk about, because either if they blow these 3 teams out of the water, watch out.
Especially honestly, I feel like the game for me that I'm really going to be watching is how we play against the Hurricanes, because the Ducks are bottom 5 in the league right now. The Penguins have just been fighting it.
Yeah.
But the Canes are just forever dangerous. You got Rod Brindamore has really brought that team.
Rod the Bod. It's
got such an identity now in that team. So I'm excited to see how we respond to that. But no, it's going to be a very exciting week of hockey. Can't wait to talk about it next week.
3 big games, hopefully 3 big wins, and also maybe a Grey Cup to recap as well.
Oh, yeah.
It might be a huge long episode. Be ready for that. That'll be it for us this week. On behalf of Connor and Brian, we thank you for listening, and go Jets, go.
Go Jets. You've been listening to the Level Flight Podcast.